Hello, welcome back to my Star Wars Last Jedi review. This is episode 2, Attack of the Fan Theories. I think this film, across the board, blew a lot of fan theories out of the water, which was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I think too much in Star Wars we are focusing on lineage and people's parents and where they're from. Obviously, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, that kind of thing. So immediately when Rey's parents were not named and not identified, all the fan theories were there. Everything from her being a clone of the Emperor through to Obi-Wan Kenobi's daughter, etc, 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 etc. To actually kind of pull the trigger and say her parents, they don't mean anything. She's in fact a nobody. I think that was A, it was refreshing, and B, it was different. The fact that they've made her a nobody and made her so powerful in the Force, I think that makes it even better because there's nothing there. This is just someone who is powerful. It doesn't need explaining. She is what she is. I think the nearest description we got was when you had the scene between Snoke, Kylo and Rey, when Snoke described the Force as creating balance itself. When you have something that's very powerful on the dark side, the Force will always create an equal and opposite power on the light side. So rather than it just being one person who balances the Force, we're kind of saying now that the Force balances itself, which is an interesting concept and changes the sort of Star Wars lore a little bit. No mention of midi-chlorians, which was quite nice. I was actually expecting it to turn up and it never did, so that's great. I think we've kind of scrubbed that, we retconned that, so to speak, so that was never spoke of, which was brilliant. Snoke. We have to talk about Snoke. Again, I nearly laughed out loud in the cinema when he got killed. I could see it coming, but I didn't believe they were going to actually do it. The scene was playing out and I thought, no way, they're not actually going to kill him off, and they did. They just killed off the prospective big bad without any fanfare, any explanation. He's just gone, bang, disappeared, and effectively replaced by Kylo. Now, for the last sort of 2 years between the two films, we've had so many theories about Snoke, even more probably than Rey's parents. Who is he? What is he? How has he become so powerful in the Force? Why isn't he a Sith? Is he a Sith? Who really knows? And to kill him off, I think, was a bold move. It was an interesting move. And I think it played well into that concept that Kylo was introducing in the film about wiping out the past and building a new future. Was that kind of a message that the filmmakers were trying to make? I think one of the big concepts of old Star Wars, the Star Wars we're used to, is the concept of a big bad, whether it be Darth Sidious, the Emperor, Darth Vader. They've always been that one big bad with an apprentice that the downtrodden heroes have to establish their power and try and defeat. Now, we expected that to kind of play out in these new Star Wars films, and certainly from Force Awakens, we got that with Snoke, with Kylo Ren, and you kind of assumed that that was going to continue through the next two films. By killing Snoke off relatively quickly, they've kind of said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do something completely different. And you know what? Sometimes changing the landscape is good, and sometimes changing the concept of what we think about fandom, what we know about fandom, is good. And I think that's probably one of the root causes of the issues people have, is what they've done here is say, right, here's what you think you know about Star Wars and the Star Wars universe, and they flipped it on its head and said, no, you're not going to have that, you're going to have something different. And sometimes different is good. What you've got now, instead of an evil maniacal villain who just sits in the background, sits in the shadows and sort of cackles to themselves, pantomime style, and eventually has a confrontation with the good guys at the end of the third film, what you've got now is Kylo Ren as the big bad. And this is interesting because Kylo Ren is not a stable character. He's got multiple dimensions. He is a broken character who is still conflicted. He's killed his father. He's thought his Jedi Master was going to kill him. He's been manipulated to the nth degree by Snoke, and now he has no reins. He's off the leash, and he's in charge, and I don't really know yet what his motivations are. Originally it was killing Luke. He's kind of done that now. So is he going to follow what his master was trying to do and wipe out the rebellion? Is he going to try and not manipulate but bring Rey into the fold? Is he going to try and rule the galaxy on his own, or try and bring her in and rule the galaxy together? Who knows? I think it's kind of left episode 9 completely up in the air, because we as Star Wars fans, we're not used to this. We're not used to having a dysfunctional villain who hasn't got a plan, and he hasn't got a plan. And I think that really does work. The father figure thing is kind of... that's one of the themes that's gone all the way through these new Star Wars films, because you have Kylo and Han, and the fact is their relationship kind of messed him up a little bit to start with. You've then got Kylo and Luke attempting to kill Kylo. That's messed him up even more. The father figure storyline also plays it out well between Snoke, Kylo and Hux. Snoke effectively was playing Hux and Kylo off against each other, kind of like a manipulative father playing his two sons off against each other. But now that control has gone, you've got Hux, who's a kind of very insecure, very kind of downtrodden person. You've got Kylo, who is erratic and very aggressive and childlike, and they've got no one to focus, no one to lead them. So again, this is going to be a very Machiavellian plot to see how those two kind of undermine and try and oust each other as we move forward into episode 9. Touched on it earlier with regards to the way that the Force has changed. They brought in some really interesting ideas about the concepts of what we know as the Force, and also some odd ideas. Shoehorn Yoda into the film. Other than giving Luke a pep talk, why was he really there? Was it just there to kind of satisfy the need for a old school Star Wars cameo? I know it wound a lot of people up. He was able to call that lightning strike on the tree. Was it him that really did it? Who knows? Does it really matter? Not really. It was kind of a needless cameo that didn't really go anywhere. It was nice to see that it was old Yoda as opposed to young CGI Yoda. But apart from that, I don't know. I'm not going to invest too much in why he did that and the reasons for it. I think it was just one of those things that just panned out in the film. Also, when you talk about the Force, you talk about Leia using the Force for the first time. Super Leia! Really? Was it needed? They could have done that differently. I think it was right to show her using the Force because she's not really used it before, other than a bit of kind of extrasensory stuff in possibly Return of the Jedi. I think maybe instead of blowing up the bridge and having her sucked out into space, they could have just blown up the bridge and have her kind of protect herself from falling wreckage by holding up the wreckage using the Force, rather than have her fly through space. And even though I haven't got much invested in the whole fandom laws of the Force, I think that was pushing it a bit too far, if I'm honest. I suppose it's worth talking about the Sith. As it stands now, at the end of this film, there is no Sith. There was no Sith, actually, in Force Awakens. And really, there was no Jedi either. So the concept we've got of Jedi versus Sith, which has gone through 6 other films, it actually isn't as important for these new set of films as it was for the previous set. Because they were very clear to say that Snoke wasn't a Sith Lord, and they've been clear enough to say that Kylo Ren is not a Sith Lord, even though he's got a red lightsaber. And okay, Luke, and to a certain extent Rey, there is some sort of Jedi-ness there. These are just Force users who are light Force users and dark Force users. So there's no master and apprentice in the Sith, and there's no Jedi to face them. So once again, we're in an interesting position when it comes to Star Wars fandom and Star Wars lore. In a sense, this is new ground. We've never had this before, and it will be really interesting to see in this next film whether they resurrect the Sith or whether they leave them for the next lot of films that are coming, or whether they actually reference Jedi versus Sith again. Who knows? It'd be an interesting thing to come, but certainly I don't think we're going to get any more Sith references in these series of films. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and check out the remaining episodes of my Star Wars The Last Jedi review.